The Texans 2018 season schedule has finally been released. Now, this isn't a prediction video because right now the draft still hasn't happened, so I can't really make some realistic predictions without knowing who each team is going to get and what they're going to do in the draft. So my prediction video will come at some point later down the line. As of right now though, I'm just going to give you my initial thoughts on the schedule. Right off the bat, week 1, we travel to New England to take on the Patriots. And for some reason, a good chunk of Texans fans are mad about this matchup, but that doesn't make sense to me because if you want to play the Patriots and take them down easily, this is when you play them early on in the season around September. The Patriots usually suffer most of their losses during the month of September. So here we go. Week 1 against the Patriots. The Texans have a whole off season to game plan to take on easily their most tough opponent on the schedule. Week 2, the Texans travel to Tennessee. I mean, should I really say more? 57-14. I mean, there's not much else to be said. Whether it's in Houston, whether it's in Tennessee, this one should be a cakewalk. And week 3, the Texans come home for their home opener against the New York Giants. Again, the Giants are a terrible team. It should be a cakewalk, honestly. And then week 4, the Texans travel to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Again, another cakewalk. So the month of September is really favorable for the Texans. I know a lot of people are going to be like, how? They have 3 away games and only 1 home game. Well, that's what you want in September. Why? Well, because it's better to get more home games towards the end of the season when your players are more tired, they don't have to travel as much, and you know those later games would be easier. And the month of September, man, it's an easy month. We got 3 easy should-win games between the Titans, Giants, and Colts, and we got a very winnable game against the Patriots. So at the very worst, the Texans will walk away in the month of September going 3-1. Now let's move on to October. Sunday Night Football, Week 5 versus the Cowboys. Everybody's favorite matchup, I guess. I don't really see how this matchup is really all that special. I mean, it's just the Cowboys. I mean, I'd rather it be the Jaguars or, you know, someone else. But, I mean, I guess people love to hate the Cowboys. To me, they're irrelevant. Anyways, that should be an interesting matchup depending on what the Cowboys do, because as of right now, this game should be quite easy for the Texans. Week 6, home again for the Bills. Easy game, seriously. I mean, the Bills are trash. This is an interesting game coming up. At Jacksonville for Week 7. Now, the Jaguars are a good team, I'm not going to lie. Will they be around for long? No. Will they be around next season? Probably. And then to close out October, the Texans host the Miami Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. I'm not a fan of Thursday Night Football games. They're usually boring, especially when you get a matchup against a terrible team like the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I expect the Texans to wipe the floor with them, honestly. And so far, the schedule, man, it's a cakewalk. I mean, the only playoff teams they faced out of 7 games is Patriots, Titans, Bills, and Jaguars. But if we're being honest, the Titans and Bills don't belong as a playoff team. So far this schedule is a cakewalk. And then week 9, the Texans travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. Now, the Broncos aren't a good team by any means, but this game's tricky for one reason only. It's at Denver, the high altitude. The Broncos have the best home field advantage. Because of it, I consider it cheating, complete bullshit, because they have a clear, huge advantage when they're playing at home. That's why they have great home field advantage. I expect this game to be a good one. It could go either way, honestly, just because of that home field advantage. The Texans aren't used to that high altitude. The Broncos are, and that could turn out to be a determining factor, depending on what the Broncos do in the draft, and if Case Keenum goes back to being Case Keenum, or if he plays how he's playing in Minnesota. Week 10, we got a bye week. In my opinion, this is a perfect spot to have a bye week. A little bit, kind of in between the season, but there's still, most of your season was in the first half before the bye week, and now you have a few final stretch of games in the second half. And coming off the bye week, the Texans travel to Washington to take on the Redskins, and again, another easy game. And after that, the Texans come back home to take on the Titans on Monday night. Again, whether it's in Tennessee, whether it's in Houston, the Texans are going to sweep the Titans. I don't care who they draft. I don't care. The Texans are 20 times better than the Titans. The Titans don't have a coach. And then, to kick off December, the Texans at home take on the Cleveland Browns. The Browns made some improvements, but as long as Hugh Jackson is there, I don't see them as a threat. And then after that, to finish off a 3 home game stretch, the Texans take on the Colts. The Colts aren't a good team. Should be a win for the Texans. Also sweeping the Colts. Week 15, the Texans travel to New York to take on the Jets. This game might be interesting because, December, it gets cold those days. Could be a snowy game, you just don't know. So this game's tricky, but I do expect the Texans to take on the Jets easily. And then week 16, the Texans travel to Philly to take on the Eagles, and this is going to be a pretty tough one, but it's late in the season. It might be to the point where the Eagles aren't trying much, or the Texans might not be trying much, because look at the Texans schedule, and the Eagles are a good team, so it could be like a really good game, or it could be a game of pretty much backups come in like in the second half, because that's just the type of team Houston and Philadelphia are right now. Probably the top team in the AFC and the top team in the NFC. If this matchup would have been sooner, it would have been really difficult, but this one right now I can't predict. And then to finish off the season, the Texans come back home to take on the Jaguars. Again, similar to the Philly game, I don't know how this one is going to determine the outcome in the playoffs. Maybe the Texans are already clinched. I really don't know. I can't really say much about it. If both teams are going at it like for a playoff spot, then obviously this game's going to be a tough one. But I really do see the Texans having the AFC South clinched before this game. So, yeah. Overall, I absolutely love this schedule. You get the Patriots week 1 when they're at their weakest. Yeah, some people say like, oh, well, we got to face them at the strongest, but I'd rather be smarter about it and take them down when they're weak, so we get, chances at a higher seeding in the playoffs, rather than for it to be more difficult, like, say, late December. Also, we have more home games down the end of the season. We have 4 home games in the last 6 games, which is always good. The bye week is also in a favorable spot towards the middle of the season. And the Texans play their divisional opponents at home in the second half of the season rather than away like the past 10, 15 years. That's what it seems like. So the schedule really favors the Texans, and something not many people are talking about is all these teams the Texans face, none of them are coming off a bye week. So none of these teams you see on here that the Texans face have extra time to prepare. So that is always good. So, like I said, man, this schedule is really favoring the Texans a whole lot. Seriously, who can the Texans realistically lose to here? Philly, New England, Jacksonville, twice. It is an 11-5 team at the very worst. if Bill O'Brien goes less than 11-5 with this schedule that really favors the Texans, then we have some problems. Anyways, guys, with that being said, that's all I really have for you guys today. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.